premature. Shit is PMD. We back, motherfucker, yeah. Give me what's mine, nigga. Sober, I told you I miss you. I'm trapped in a gutter by lynchers. I didn't have what is deep is I'm on my feet, and that couldn't reach for defeat. Freedom, oh freedom, I need you. How will I tend you like?
Hello guys, welcome to another recap of OG's Unplugged podcast. Episode 35, guys. Wow, what a journey, what a 2023. Oh, and first of all, I'd like to wish everyone a happy 2024 year, and I hope that everyone had a wonderful festive season where we kept ourselves safe, where we actually had a good time, and we're back again into 2024. I'm hoping for good things, and for those that lost people and for those that experienced hardships, well, now look, this is a new year for you to figure some things out. This is a new year to re-establish yourself as an individual who wants to achieve. So we are back here with episode 35 recap. Wow, all I can say is what a year it has been for Vista, the great channel. We've seen some really good gradual growth throughout our December, and also guys, the episodes that we dropped in December, words cannot even begin to describe it. But as we're gonna come and go through each episode, I think our experience as a channel is growing, and as a channel we are also venturing into other things, and also as a channel we are maneuvering spaces that we are making us uncomfortable, and we are realizing the power of content. We are realizing the power of YouTube. We are realizing also the power of Kasi also, because Kasi has a lot of content that we are going to give it to you in 2024. So 2024 is going to be a year where we go wild in terms of content, guys. We are happy that we keep on growing each week. We keep on getting subscribers, and for those of who started with us from the beginning, we want to say thank you very much for your continued support in terms of watching our content, enjoying our content. And as we look into 2024, which I'm going to get into what are we planning later on, but as a channel, when we look at the past 10 episodes from episode 26, looking at episode 26, which was episode Dikuku, shooting this guy was very interesting, because the Kuku, we don't know why it was called, we do know why it was called the Kuku. He's a guy he left school very young, as a young person, dropping out of school. After initiation, he decided to know what, this school thing is not for me. So as this school thing was not for him, got a job, went to Mpumalanga, spent 9 months at Mpumalanga, and after spending 9 months at Mpumalanga, the shoes story. That's where we learned he got shoes, wore those shoes for about 3 weeks, and then someone realized, hey, those are my shoes, man. You've been wearing my shoes for 3 weeks, and they didn't. He almost ended in prison in Bethlehem, and we heard how his story survived. This guy's story, it's touching. I think it's one of those stories where many people are experiencing such hardships. But you know, what I can say from his episode is that I've learned a lot of things to say that as a human being, you know, you need to be able to say, sometimes I need to risk it. You need to get out of your comfort zone and actually go out there to actually experience what life has to offer, because our parents keep telling us that life is a struggle, and it's only a struggle, for at least in my own personal experience, when you actually go out there and actually experience it yourself. So the Kuku was a very interesting episode, and it was an episode where one learned in terms of not going to school can have a major impact on you guys. School is a very big part of why some other people become successful. And you only learn as you grow, and it's not only learning through written language or qualifications, but life also is a teacher in its own. So his episode was fun to do. I actually enjoyed it. That's where I also learned that Kasi people are also struggling. They are also trying to make ends meet. So his episode was fun to do. I was shooting it with Colin the Project. Big ups to him. He's a good guy to shoot an episode with during that. It was fun to shoot that episode. Now, as we go into episode 27, Grootman says, wow. That episode, guys, Grootman says it will come up now, tops, ne? Grootman says so. Wow, this story was a wonderful episode to shoot. And what actually was amazing about this episode was I actually shot him months after he was released from prison. So he was still fresh. He's still fresh. He was still serving his parole. I think he's still doing that. And to shoot a guy who's in there, I felt like, wow. For me, as the host there, it was something that I actually enjoyed. And one of the things after shooting that episode, I learned something about, him personally as a person, and also how he looks at things. And I also learned something about him, that he's very well educated. He led a life that most of the kids kokasi, some of them they don't have, but he's actually had a life. His life is very interesting. It was a life that was key because he grew up in a loving church-going family, and as he grew up within that family, he misbehaved on the basis of what was happening there. He was also part of the gangs that were there at the time, and for him to go to prison for that particular crime, it's a story where in the episodes that are coming, that most people get accused of that. And the lesson that you learn from there is that never put yourself in a situation where prison might come. Even though sometimes you don't do things, life is life. Life is gonna test you. Life is gonna put obstacles in front of you. Just that, try to avoid placing yourself in a situation that's gonna make you go to prison, because prison is not a nice place to go. As I've interacted with Grootman, as I've seen their stories and I've heard their stories, they keep saying that that's not a nice place to be, because that's not your mom's place. That's not home. Prison is not home. It's a place where we are blind, rough. And if you don't learn to make the right decisions, you might end up being there, guys. And as you end up being there, wow, remember also the things we do, Mokasi, the people you are hating, Mokasi, the people they won't visit, your family won't visit you, because if you're doing things to your family, telling for they are not right, how will they visit someone who was making their life hell in prison? That's something to wonder. So meaning you'll be alone there, and you'll be left to do what we all see, that you'll be left to become someone else's wife in prison. You'll do laundry for another man in prison. And as a person, you didn't do that. Now you'll be doing that for someone else. And it's rough, because the people we see out there, they are rough. And as we go into 2024, we've got big content planned for you guys in terms of the prison industrial system of South Africa. There's so much that we're going to do. I don't want to go into details now, but at the last part of this episode, I'll brief you in terms of what our plans. And as we go deep into these past 10 episodes, and when we also look at episode 28, Master T. Wow, what an episode. And shout out to Metsidi, Kukasi, the tuck shop at Metsidi, for hosting us there. It was nice to shoot an episode there, so shout out to go Metsidi. Master T, guys. Wow. I learned something about drugs net, and I learned also the language that they use in terms of the different types of drugs we have. Wow. Hey, Master T, what a story. A story of, imagine yourself as an individual who's not doing drugs. You're clean, everything is life, you're working, and then you start being exposed to this crystal meth thing. Drugs are real, guys, and we see them every day. Good Kasitaro. We see them, what they do to people that we know they were once there. Now, when we look at them, you're like, what happened to this guy? And when you actually hear the story, you hear to find out Uguti, drugs were involved there. So doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that the decisions they took led them to being in a situation where they, and I do believe that most of them can recover from that. As Master T said, that he realized after 7 years of smoking drugs that his life was actually stagnant. He kept on doing the same thing. And within that time, he was also a host to a group of other guys who were doing drugs. So you can imagine when you go and visit a house of someone who's doing drugs, which I think other content out there is actually showing that how when you do drugs actually affects your life. He literally said that he was selling most of the things he had. So imagine you having this beautiful furniture in the house and you start stealing things. So there are different types of drug out there. I don't know them by name, but his episode, go check episode 28, guys, Master T. This guy's experience about drugs it's something that as a youth of today that we must all be aware of, and also try to teach the younger generations about the impact of drugs, because they are real. They are in our communities. They are, and we need to start having conversations, constructive conversations about drugs and their impact in our communities. Because in December, certain things happened where Umphakathi was up in arms, guys, because of accusations of a guy that I know, accusing him of being a ringleader to these younger guys in terms of them stealing and selling household things for drugs. So it is real. And what was happening there was a scene, man. You can imagine your family being outside. That scene was a scene where I'll say that in terms of us as young people, we must always also try to change our lives. Though for those who are in drugs, we know that it's not, I don't know, let me not say that we know, because I've tried to avoid being in situations where you find yourself in drugs, but I've engaged with people who were doing drugs, and when you engage them, most of them, they do want to stop doing them. But I think it's more of a mental battle than anything else, because you know you want to stop doing something, but you don't have the courage or the mental discipline to say that, you know what, I'm stopping this now. Because I think what they are doing is actually playing a delaying game to say that, no, I actually tomorrow, you know. And when you place things on tomorrow, it's always a dangerous game to play. Because if you don't start doing things today, tomorrow might be too late for you. So it starts today, it starts now, having the discipline and the courage to say, you know what, this thing has ruined my life. It has placed me in a situation that no one ever wishes upon. Even your enemy, you don't wish your enemy to be in such a situation. But it takes a discipline, guys. And I'd say Master T's episode is so encouraging to actually also see him lift himself out of that situation, to actually do what he's good at, which is becoming a hustler of note, you know. Because I met him more casually, and I see him now. He's a guy who's changed his life, and he's a guy who's becoming more of what he wanted to become of himself. So drugs are something that it's not good. Drugs are not good, period. Don't do drugs, don't sniff drugs, don't be close to drugs, guys. So for those who still wondering what drugs do, we see them in our townships every day. Even though some people behave as if they're not seeing them, but they are there. And as communities, I'd say we need to start having a deeper conversation about the impact of what these drugs are doing to our youth and the country as a whole, because it's actually damaging the future generations. You can imagine 10 years to come if you have a community of kids who are doing drugs, which means it's doomed. That community is doomed not to achieve anything. So we need to start changing those things. We need to start changing the conversations around drugs. We need to start having deep conversations about them. And it's not like there are no opportunities. There are opportunities out there, which I believe most of these guys who are doing drugs, they have skills. They are skilled. But how do you trust a person who steals? And, you know, the presentation is everything. They say the first impressions last. And if the first time we're meeting and I see you, hello, the way it is, it's not impressive. How will I trust you to do the work for me? Never. So this is something that we must all also learn, and it's something that we must also try to change as people within the communities, because some of us, we do have nephews, we do have nieces, we do have younger brothers, we do have younger sisters who are actually exposed to these. So having that conversation and also teaching kids about this, I think will be a benefit for them, so that they actually know, if you do this, this is where you might end up. Because doing them, it's either prison or you're dead, or the community beats the hell out of you. You can imagine having a round face that you get beaten for a community because of a microwave, for an example. Imagine stealing a microwave, essentially. And then the community comes, umphakathi comes, and then beat the hell out of you. That's something that we are not encouraging as youth. Stay away from drugs, guys. Drugs are dangerous. So the Master T episode was a beautiful episode that I actually enjoyed. And it's an episode where education is involved in terms of drugs. You also learn about the impact of it. Because one of the things he mentioned is that you can stand for 3 hours, or after smoking, whatever it is that you've smoked at the time, you find that time moves. 3 hours doing nothing. Imagine, just imagine. Imagine yourself in that type of a situation where 3 hours has gone past and all you did was to have a mental battle. I'll refer to it as that, a mental battle of planning and planning, doing and doing. Your mind is very much active, as he puts it, to Kilabo. So let's avoid ourselves being in those type of situations, guys, because they are not good at all. As we move on to episode 29, Scar, wow, what an episode. What an episode. And in terms of this episode, I'll start by saying, after shooting this episode, I realized something also, that you know, when pushing this type of content, one puts themselves in a situation where it becomes uncomfortable, but yet they have to make it comfortable, because this was an episode of someone who was part of a gang that terrorized communities. So you can imagine the sensitivity of it when shooting it. So I had, as a host of it, I had to maneuver in a way where, wow, I had to be sensitive to myself, because I had to also think of Gucci. there's someone who's gonna watch this, and this person might be the victim of this guy. So the way I had to conduct it, wow. And I must say, one of the things that I'm actually proud of the work that I did through on that episode, because it's not easy to actually shoot an episode like that. And also it was not easy for him, as I saw, to actually be that comfortable to actually say that he is a changed guy. He is someone who's trying to better his life. He is a person who wants a family of his own. He is a guy who wants things that he can say, you know what, I, as Carlo, actually achieved those things. You know, for me, as the interviewer of that day, I must say that I'm actually proud of the work that I did on that episode. And I'm actually proud of Carlo for having the courage to actually say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm done with friends. I'm done with drugs. And I did them. Because you can imagine spending 1,000 rands on drugs. You can imagine. Most people don't have it. You can imagine how, as a guy who's like that, and try to do things honestly. Because one thing that I said to him that was not on the episode was that in this life you have to work hard. There are no manna from heavens unless you become lucky. And in fact, with luck works in its own ways, because you need to put effort. But there's also a saying that a real man creates his own luck, which is testing life itself. So I'm glad that he was able to share his life experience and how it was being a boss of BTK, guys. You can imagine being a boss of a gang. You can imagine him going to prison, and when he's there also, life is nice for him because he has his own soldiers. You can imagine living life with your own soldiers. Like you are like a general. There are foot soldiers. There are people who do the work for you. Even though they're doing the work for you, you're living life as lavish. But the work that they're doing is they're actually harming other people's lives. So you can imagine that situation. Imagine yourself living within that type of an environment, and at some point they all catch up with you. They all do, because through his own experience, he did say that he's advising Amajita to say that a criminal life is not a life. A gangster's life is not a life, because two things will happen. It's either you die from that life or you end up in prison. And prison, as he said, it's a devil's playground. That place, it's not a nice place to be, especially when you know that you are not made. We are all not made to go to prison. No one is made to go to prison. But the actions that we do will lead us there. And as young as he is, mind you, even school is something that he says he regrets not going to school, because there was one time where the whole year, a whole 365 days, he failed and his other friend passed. So it was like he was a passenger towards this friend of his passing. So that's something that we also have to think about, and that's something as the youth of today we need to be cognizant about, because we're living in an era where I believe there are opportunities. But those opportunities are opportunities that you have to open the door. Even though some doors do have gatekeepers, but knock, open those doors, guys. Identify yourself and your skill, because we are all gifted in our own ways. We do have our own set of skills that we can contribute towards making society better, towards empowering the next generation. Because what we do today sets the foundation for the generation that comes after us. So if we don't do things correctly, or if we don't teach the upcoming generation, they are going to blame us. They are going to say, but yeah, Nina Nenze, to ensure that at least our path becomes a path that's actually good, you know. So with episode 29, Scarlo, that episode was it was an eye-opening episode in terms of how you maneuver between people who were terrorizing the community to actually sitting down with them and hearing their stories. So that episode was it was an amazing one to shoot, and it was an episode that taught me a lot of things about the upcoming generation also, in terms of how they think, and also in terms of the impact of school. Is guys. School is a big thing. It's a big thing that we must all emphasize on, because as a guy also doing this podcasting thing, I'm saying that hey, masgilizini guys, there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of skills out there that we can all learn, because our country actually needs those types of skills. So with that, I'm trying to say thank you for Scala for giving me that opportunity to shoot him. It was an enjoyable episode. Now, and that was an episode that introduced us to December. Wow. And remember that December was in June, December, I was dropping Amakrut Man. So, and the first of those Amakrut Man was episode 30. Wow. This Krut Man is inspiring, guys. Krut Man Tati. Yeah, wow. Shooting him was wonderful, man, and it was truly a wonder to shoot. It was also something that where one learned in terms of soccer and the foundations of certain teams, that's a gas, because I also learned about his story and his history, because he's a guy who started his football Kokasi, Kobolokehang. He played with a lot of big names, Bloemfontein Young Tigers. His episode is episode 30. We dropped it in December 2023. So go check that episode out, guys. It's actually a good episode to learn about who's Grootman Tat. Shuffle, as he is known. Ube shuffle is it. And his life story, it's interesting, and it's a good story to tell. I'm glad that as a channel we got to tell stories of Grootman. We gave him a platform to actually voice his life out, and actually to say that as much as football and also life after football. Because what we also learn is that we see all these guys going into football, becoming football greats, and then after that, we hardly hear about them. So I'm actually glad he's pushing to becoming a coach in terms of other aspects of his life. And also, I think one of the things that are so significant that he says, it's the improvement of Kasi teams. Because we need to revive those spirit of Kasi teams. And we need the right people to be at the right spaces so that the right people can invest within those teams. Because if a team is managed well and it has the right leadership, the right people will come to invest in those teams. I do believe that. But if the leadership in itself is not right, no one will ever invest in a project that's not capable or that's not showing the capabilities, because there's a lot of young talent that's coming through. A lot of it is coming. And as we see that talent coming through, there's hardly opportunities for them because of managerial issues. So all I'm saying is that let's avoid bringing our own egos, if I can say that, if for a lack of better term. Let us try to actually build teams that will produce talent, that will produce legendary names, that will produce whereby our kids will say that, nah, man, I know him from Ekas. Let us help the future generations to become legendary, because our Kasi, it's big. And as it is big, it has a raw pool of soccer players. It has a raw pool of talent. We've seen recently in terms of the 2023 Bachukara tournament, we saw the type of talent that goes through there. We saw wonderful football being played there. Kasi has that talent where if we put enough effort to build local teams, we can actually have more teams participating in leagues, in the ABC Municipal Leagues. We can have a raw pool of talent where bigger teams can come. Because mind you, guys, Free State no longer has a football team that's playing in the PSL. Our stadiums are empty now. The Vodacom Park, the Molemela Stadium, the Kaiser Sibotela Stadium, we don't have football that's playing on that league. And as a person who enjoys watching soccer, I miss going to the stadium, guys. I miss the stand where the Swilele voice is singing. I do miss that. And when you think of it, imagine the next generation not having the experience to actually see what it means to be a Bloemfontein Celtics, even though it doesn't come in the form of Bloemfontein Celtics. But when we used to go to those games, wow, what an environment it was. And speaking to Ugo Krotman like Utati, it shows that we do really miss going to the stadiums. We do miss having that football environment, going as families, enjoying, having the Molemela stand, as it was called at the time, singing our lungs out, singing them out. It's sad to think of it in terms of that other generations won't have the opportunity to experience that. But I do believe that there is hope for Free State to have its own team again. I do hope it's that. And there's a reason why I'm saying that, because right now, yesterday, a draw was made that features one of the teams, the Sekas, the Generals. The Generals. It went through the last 16, which is a big thing, guys, which is something that we must all celebrate, because that is a team from Ekasi. And for them to achieve that and being on the last 32, that is a big step. That's a big step for football. That's a big step for development. And it actually shows that we do have talent, not only in players, but in coaches as well, also in the technical management of things. So, as I say, we need to have a team back in the PSL, participating in other leagues, because I personally miss that in stadium environment of having to sing my lungs out, singing those football songs. Because our point of reference in Free State will always be Swelele, because Swelele was big and there was also Free State Stars. Those were the two major teams where that produced a lot of talent. There are teams that are there, but all I'm saying is that we need to have a pool of people who are willing to invest in the future. We need to invest in the future, because the future is the upcoming generation that we see. And if we don't give them the platform and the chance to actually do those things, to actually be exposed to professionalism, to football, we're actually killing other generations to come after them, because that's where they'll end up doing drugs. That's where they'll end up doing things that we don't want them to do. So episode 30 was a big episode in terms of changing. It was also an episode that shows that in terms of content creation, we can diversify ourselves and focus on other things, other stories to tell from Ekasi. So episode 30 was a big one. Big ups to Grootman Tati, and Grootman's story. We still got more to tell about him as we go into the future, and as we look into 2024. We'll be bringing you more content in terms of other people, Basekasi, who played football in the major teams. So we are moving as a channel. We are ensuring that we are going to bring you the best of the best from Ekasi, from the dusty streets. So guys, episode 30 was a wonderful episode to shoot. I enjoyed that episode. It taught me a lot of things about Grootman and football, Ekasi as a whole. And as we go into, episode 31, Teresa. Ha! Oh, wow. Teresa. What an episode. What an episode, what a story, what a life. Now, that's wow. Shooting this was actually amazing because this Grootman, how I got to find out about him was that ukhona sister wasekasi, big ups to Ausnono for telling me about him. She's the one who mentioned Grootman ukuthi there's a Grootman called Muiter. That Grootman has been to prison. Go interview that man. And then now when I went, I searched to go to okay, Grootman Teresa, what, and izinto ziyahlangana. Now this is a life where, wow, guys, go watch the episode because his life story it's the works of God itself. It shows you the power of God, the power of faith, the power of believing. It can show you that he graduated to be a teacher in the 90s. But as he says in the episode that, hey, he was too good, he's a web sharp. He was also part of the 90s gangs. He was part of a gang, then went to prison, came out of prison, and then, boom, changed his life. He is still a teacher who's doing wonders now. Even yesterday, I was sitting with one of the students he's taught. One of the students he's taught. She mentions that they were actually the first class where he actually told that class that, guys, you know what, as I stand here in front of you, I have been to prison. Ngibuye emabondi. So you can imagine. You can imagine kids thinking that, nah, this teacher, this guy has been all of that, only to find that, wow, we are taught by someone who's actually lived all sectors of life to being to prison. And when he was also in prison, he does say that he taught other prisoners. So there are other prisoners who are actually free and out there who are actually, because of his work, those prisoners are benefiting therefore. So we can imagine, guys, to say that life here Grootman Teresa, it's a story where I'll say for those of us who actually want to learn in terms of how to change your life from being a professional and how to get motivated. His story is a story that you need to watch. So go watch episode 31, Teresa, which we dropped in December too. It was one of the packages that we wanted to drop in December. So that EP, guys, go watch that episode, guys, because you will learn a lot of things from Grootman. He also shares his views in terms of how parents can come to the party in terms of disciplining their kids. So his episode was a wonderful episode to shoot. So big ups to Grootman Teresa. Thank you for giving us your time. And your stories, it's a motivating story. It's a story for ages. It's a story where people can learn a lot from. And I'm glad that you were able to do within the space. And mind you guys, we shot that when he was actually doing extra classes. So we took time from the extra classes to shoot it. So you can see that we tried to also push as much content as we did for you in 2023, and which is, I believe, we did. You know, we gave you so much content so that when we come into 2024, we know as a channel and as a company where we're going. Now, as we go through to other episodes of episode 32, I go over King Rasta. Wow. Sitting with this Grootman was a wonderful thing. And we closed the year on a high, guys. This episode, it's quite doing good in terms of views on our channel. It's an episode where it's educational. It's an episode that teaches you about the 90s. It's an episode that teaches you about a person who grew up in a family of business. It's an episode that also teaches you about the impact of gangs. It's an episode that teaches one about not having fear. Umntu wengenayo fear. Someone who was like, you know what? Angina uvalo mina ngiyangena la. But it's also an episode that teaches you about parenting. It's also an episode that says to parents, you need to improve about how you actually discipline kids. So it's a very, very educational episode, and this is an episode that I'll say I'm proud of the channel, and I'm proud of what we did as a channel throughout the start of the channel and until closing it, because closing with that type of an episode was big. It was big for Vista, the great channel, because it actually shows that the type of content we have, Mokas. It shows that if you dedicate yourself to doing something, you can actually tell untold stories. Because King Rasta his stories is amazing. And for people who are wondering who King Rasta is, go and watch episode 32. Because that episode, it's a learning episode. As I said, that it's an educational episode. It's an episode that gives you another aspects of living of the 90s. It gives you there. So episode 32 was big for us. It's an episode that's still performing good, and I believe it's still gonna grow. It's still gonna achieve more because of the magnitude of the individual. And I also loved how I carried myself on that episode, guys. I also love in terms of the growth that I showed on that episode as a host, which is something that is quite amazing, which is something that I'm saying big ups to myself for this growth that I'm showing, you know. And as we move, so that was the episode that we closed 2023 with, which is still performing good. And when we opened 2024, we opened 2024 with the Grootman, the bed. And the bed. Wow. I've wondered where Grootman was, and you know, I shot him the day before he left to Josi. So you can imagine how lucky I was. The bed. I actually shot the guy who came up with the name Roosters and how the name came to be about. So shooting Grootman Bates was an honor for me, and big ups to Grootman Bates for allowing us the chance to actually shoot the episode before he leaves, before he goes back to work with Joes, because there's so much to learn from his life. There's so much to unpack from his life, because of we didn't have much time, and it was also during the time of the Bachukara soccer tournament. So for him to actually give us that time, I'm glad that Grootman did that. We appreciate what you did for us, Grootman, and to learn also about how you got the name Bates. But before Bates, he was Mambosh. He was a goal scorer, as he said in the episode. So if you want to learn more about the episode, go catch the episode, subscribe to our channel to see the episode, learn about Grootman Bates and his life story, because it's a wonderful episode to see. So thank you very much, Grootman, for that. And what I loved about Grootman was how he carried himself throughout that, in terms of his story and how he wanted to shape the future of other kids through football. Because as we listen towards his episode, he actually shares why he wanted to have Roosters as a team that gets most kids out of trouble, mokas, you know, gets them out of situations where they're in, where they'll be able to to actually have a bright future, you know. So big ups to Grootman Bates for having that vision, and big ups to him for wanting to develop football as a cause, because through that team a lot of talent was discovered. It still is being discovered, you know. And I'm hopeful that as I say that, I'm hopeful that at the right time, the right people will come, the right investors will come, and the right management will come, so that we can actually develop Kasi the way it needs to be developed in terms of football players. Because Botshabelo has a pool of talent, not just Botshabelo, but also other Kasis. They do have a pool of talent that needs to be unlocked, to be untapped, and that needs to go out there and show who they are. So thanks to Grootman Bates. Salute Grootman. I hope Josie's treating you well. I hope your business is also doing well in Joburg. So for those of you guys who are going to Josie and looking for appointments, search Grootman Paballo the Bates. Grootman Paballo the Bates. Let me just confirm here, guys. Lebata, yeah. Hotmane Paballo Bates Lebata is on Facebook. He does have rooms for Lena to hire Coach Josie. So for those of you who want accommodation, Hotmano Tengara. Big ups to you. And as we move on, guys, to another episode, episode 34. Wow, Branax. As I said in the episode, that I grew up seeing this Hotman. Grootman says from Mazu, I think from Italy. His house is about 6 houses from Italy. And seeing him and actually sitting down with him to hear that he went to Kokstad Super Maximum Prison. Wow. That actually showed me that the Grootman is soldier. You can imagine yourself being alone for 2 years. 2 years. One man. All you get is food and all the other things. You can imagine that the impact it has on you mentally. You can go just imagine that for 1 second, guys. Imagine that you are used to moving with your friends, having time with your family, enjoying this. Now imagine that. But as we hear from the episode here, that didn't just come about in jail. His story is amazing. So please go, guys, go watch that episode. Go learn some of the hard truth about Grootman way too, because Grootman they have seen many things, and there are stories we can actually learn from their life experiences in prison. We can actually learn from their life experiences outside of prison also, because they are changing their life. They don't want to, most of them they have been out of prison for some time. So they are out now, and he's been out for some time, and he's never had any trouble with the law since. Most of them that I've interviewed, even the past episodes they don't want to see themselves in prison again. So you can imagine those of us who think we are clever, we end up doing things that send us to prison. So guys, all I'm saying is that this content that we're giving you, learn from it as much as you can, because we are actually instilling these stories as raw and as authentic as they are, from different people and ordinary people, from the dusty streets of Botshabelo and other Kasis. We are coming. We are going to come to other Kasis. We are going to tell stories that are different, because we do believe that these type of stories needs to be told. We need to tell these stories, man, because going to prison and coming out as a rehabilitated person, that is a story to tell on its own. And mentally, that has a significant challenge on Grootman. Not only Grootman, one of the things that also as a channel that we want to tell stories of is stories of our sister who've been there, because it's quite hard to get our sister who are willing to come and share their stories with us. And we want to tell their stories because we also believe that for young girls and also for us to learn, their stories need to be told. So I'm saying to Ama Sister Wetu, I'm encouraging Ama Sister Wetu to say that we want to tell your stories, Ama Sister. You may not come from a slate, but subscribe to our channel if you know of someone who's been to prison or who's had a mischievous life. Sister Wetu, I want to tell her story, guys, because there's a significant learning from that story. Her story is so educational that they might not see the value in it, but us as a channel, we do see the value of your story. We want to tell your story because those are the authentic stories of Ama Sister Wetu, Ama Krotman Wetu that we learn from. There are other generations who will want to learn from your life. Your life is a motivation as it is. And we want to tell it as it is. So I'm encouraging Ama Sister Wetu and Ama Krotman for those who want to share their story with us. We are saying we are open to listening to you. We are open to sharing your story on our platform to say, here's his story, Krotman, here's the story of Usestere. It's out there to learn. Because we live in an era where your lives can actually change other people's lives. And it's only through telling them on our platform that people will learn. So I'm saying and encouraging people to say, contact us. I'll leave my WhatsApp details in the description below on this episode so that you can WhatsApp me in terms of who do you have who has a story to tell, so let's engage, guys. All I'm saying is let's engage because every community has its own Golovas. My sister has its own people who've actually changed, who have a story to tell. So we are here to say that I want to tell your story. We want to tell your stories as raw and as authentic as they are. So give us that platform to come and tell your story. Now, as we go through, those were the 10 episodes that we did, guys. Those episodes, and I must actually point this out to say that as a host of those shows, I've actually grown into an uncomfortable space, but also comfortable within my own character. I've actually grown into a guy who understands that people do have their own struggles. People do have their own goals in life, and life will place certain challenges in front of you. I personally believe that it's the discipline and the mental strength that you have in terms of fighting those daily battles. Because we're all facing our own battles, but the strength to actually go out there and face life as it is, that will make you more strong, that will grow you as an individual and as a character to become more stronger than you are. Because the only thing that we want in this life is that we want to be better than yesterday. And the only person that you can compete with is yourself. This person that you look at in the mirror every day, it's the person that you need to be better than. Because that's your only true and competitor. And if you can better yesterday by doing today, then you will know how you face tomorrow. So that this show, guys, has actually shown also me personally and as an individual to say that we need to get out of our comfort zones, and also we need to expose the other generations to things that we've seen, because we can only grow by learning through others. You can't expect to hold things on your own and not expect to also give out information to others. Let's be willing to share whatever we learn with others, through the right channels, obviously, through doing the right things. And for those who want to learn from us, let them learn from us, guys, because we are here also not to become our own self-centered people, but we are also here to actually impart whatever we learn through other generations. Because people say life is short, but also life can be long. So you see this thing, we need to make time our best friends. We need to understand how time moves, and we also need to be positive as much as we can. So I'm glad that as a channel we were able to achieve what we achieved in 2023, and looking ahead in 2024, I'll say that we are moving in the right spaces, we are opening the right doors, we are knocking the right doors also, because the type of content that we're going to be bringing you this year, it's content that's Kasi made, it's content that is raw, it's content that is authentic from Kasi. And also what we're going to be doing this year is that we are also going to showing you guys diversification in terms of content. We are going to be polarizing some of the things that we do, because what we've learned throughout this is that there's actually space for so much to do in terms of content creation. And also, as a channel, the channel is also managed under a company. So throughout that company, we also want to create opportunities for other young people to come and have employment, because opportunities are going to come in the company where we're going to say, hey, we are looking to hire these people in certain areas. We are going to look into hire people who have skills in terms of either sound, hosting, camera operation. So as a channel and as a company, we are growing, we are knocking the right spaces, and we are saying that because of our growth that we're showing, we're saying that we are also looking for sponsorship out there. So if you know that you are willing to sponsor the space of podcasting, please, I will share the email and contact details there. Please, we do want to be sponsored by you guys, because it's something that shows growth. It also shows that we are willing to work together as companies to grow. And also it shows that we are trusting each other to go on this journey, to be together on this journey. So we are here as a channel, we are looking for sponsorships, we are looking for people to say that as companies, we are also offering ad spaces to companies. Contact us there if you want us to share if you want us to share what you do as a company. We are offering ad spaces to you. Contact us and then let's talk, because this is the space where we eat. Podcasting is something that's going to grow in 2024. It's something where Kasi is going to grow in 2024. Content is coming more in different forms in 2024. We are also going to be launching a new show in February. We'll be dropping our first show episode, where on that show we speak with a variety of, you'll see the show as it comes in, it's dropping on the first week of February, and it's a show where I say it actually shows growth of the channel, and it's actually showing growth of the company. So we're saying that if you are keen to becoming a sponsor on our show, please contact us, because we do want to have those opportunities for other young people to work in these kind of spaces. We want to share what we have with other young people. We want to have an impact on other people's families. We want to change other youths. We want to change other guys' lives. We actually want to become a company that provides a working opportunity for the unemployed youth. Because guys, we live in a country where opportunities are there, but they're coming scarce. And we want to play our role in terms of becoming a business that creates working opportunities for youth yasekasi. So for those of you guys who know that they are in a capable position of sponsoring Vista the Great, please contact us. Let's talk and let's see how we actually move together and how we actually see we network into this digital space. So by saying that, I'd like to say thanks for watching episode 35, the recap, and see you on episode 36. Boom! Nice.